The name of the Yeniçeri, which means new troops, and which European writers have turned into Yenissaries, was given to Orhan's young crops by the dervish Hacı Beytarş. This dervish was renowned for sanctity. And Orhan soon after the had enrolled his first band of involuntary boyish proselytes, led them to the dwelling place of the saint and asked him to give them his blessing and a name. The dervish drew the sleeve of his mantle over the head of one in the first rank, and then said to the Sultan, "The troop which thou hast created shall be called Yeniçeri. Their face shall be white and shining, their right arms shall be strong, their sabres shall be keen, and their arrows sharp. They shall be fortunate in fight, and they shall never leave the battlefield save as conquerors." In memory of the benedictions, the Yeniçeries ever wore a part of their uniform, a cap of white felt, like that of the dervish, with a strip of woolen hanging down behind to represent the sleeve of the holy man's mantle that had been laid on their comrade's neck. The Christian children who were to be trained as Yeniçeries were usually chosen at the tender age. They were from their parents trained to renounce the faith in which they were born and baptized, and to profess the creed of Mahomet. They were then carefully educated for the soldier's life. The discipline to which they were subjected were severe. They were taught the most implicit obedience, and they were accustomed to the bear without repining, fatigue, pain and hunger, but liberal honors and prompt promotion were the sure rewarded dolicy and courage. Cut off from all ties of country, kids, and kin, but with high pay and privileges, with ample opportunities for military advancement, and for the gratification of the violent and sensual and the sordid passions of their animal natures, amid the customary atrocities of the successful warfare. This military brotherhood grew up to the strongest and fiercest instrument of imperial ambition. which remorseless fanatism, prompted by the most subtle statecraft ever devised upon earth. The Ottoman historians agree with one accord to the sagacity and piety of the founders of this institution. They reckon the number of conquerors whom it gave to earth, and to the heirs of paradise whom it gave to heaven, on the hypothesis that during 3 centuries the stated number of the 1,000 Christian children, there neither more nor less, was lived, converted, and enlisted. They boast accordingly that 300,000 children were delivered from the torments of hell by being made Janissaries. But Van Hammer calculates from the increase in the number of the troops under later sultans that at least 500,000 of young Christians must have been thus made first the helpless victims and the cruel ministers of Mohammedan power. After the organization of the Janissaries, Alauddin regulated that of the other corps of the army, in order that the soldier should have an interest not only in making but in the preventing conquests. It was determined that the troops should receive allotments and of land in the subjected territories. The regular infantry, the piade, had at first received pay in money, but they now had lands given to them on tenure of military service, and they were also under the obligation of keeping in good repair the public roads that led near their grounds. The irregular infantry, which had neither pay like the Janissaries, nor lands like the piade, was called azab, which means light. The lives of these undisciplined bands were held of little value, and the others were thrown forward to perish the multitude at the commencement of the battle or a siege. It was over their bodies that the Janissaries usually marched to the decisive charge or the final assault. The cavalry was distributed by Alauddin, like the infantry, into regular and irregular troops. The permanent corps of paid cavalry was divided into 4 squadrons, organized like those which the Caliph Omar instituted for the guard of the scarlet standard. The whole corps at first consisted of only 2,400 horsemen, but under Suleiman the Great the number was raised to 4,000. They marched on the right and left of the Sultan. They camped round his tent at night, and they were his bodyguard in battle. One of these regiments of royal horse guards was called the Turkish Pahis, a term applied to cavalry soldiers generally, but also specially denoting the select horse guards. Another regiment was called the silahdars, meaning the vassal cavalry. A third was called to olufeci, meaning the paid horsemen, and the fourth was called goreba, meaning the foraging horse. Besides the permanently embodied corps of paid cavalry, Aladdin formed a force of horsemen who received grants of land like the piade. As they paid no taxes for the lands which they thus held, they were termed mosiliman, which means tax-free. Mosiliman, which means tax-free. They were commanded by Sanjak Beys, princes of standards, by Binbashi, chief of thousands, and Subashi, chief of hundreds. There were other holders of the grand and petty fiefs, which were called ziamets and timars. These terms will be adverted to hereafter when we reach the period at which the Turkish feudal system was more fully developed and definite. But the earliest times their holders were bound to render military service on the horseback when summoned by their sovereign, and they were arrayed under banners in thousands and in hundreds, like the Moselimans. In addition to the regular and feudal cavalry, there were the akinji, of irregular light horse, receiving neither pay nor lands, but dependent on plunder, who were still called together in the multitudes whenever an Ottoman army was on the march, and the terror which this active and ferocious marauders spirit far and wide beyond the regular line of operations, made in the name of the Akinji as much known and treated in Christendom as that of the Yenicheris and Sipahis. Orhan had captured the city of Nicomedia in the first year of his reign, 1326, and with the new resources of the warfare which the administrative genius of his brother places at his command, he speedily signalized his region by conquests. Still more important, the great city of Nice, second to Constantinople only in the Greek Empire, surrendered to him in 1330. Orhan gave the command of it to his eldest son, Suleiman Pasha, who had directed the operations of the siege. Numerous of the advantages were gained over the Greeks and the Turkish prince of Karasi, the ancient Mysia, who had taken up arms against the Ottomans, was defeated, and his capital city, Barkhama, the ancient Pergamus, and his territory annexed to Orhan's dominions. On the conquest of Karasi in the year 1336, of our area, nearly of the whole of the northwest of Asia Minor was included to the Ottoman Empire, and the four great cities of Bursa, Nicomedia, Nice, and Pergamos, and had become strongholds of its power. A period of 20 years without further conquest and without war followed the acquisition of Karasi. During this time, the Ottoman sovereign was actively occupied in perfecting the civil and military institutions which his brother had introduced in the securing internal order, in founding and endowing mosques and schools, and in the construction of vast public edifices, which yet attest the magnificence and piety of Orhan. It is indeed a remarkable trait in the characters of the first princes of Osman dynasty that, unlike the generality of conquerors, especially of the Asiatic conquerors, they did not hurry on from one war to another in caseless avidity of fresh victories and new dominions, but on the contrary, they were not more eager to seize than they were cautious and earnest consolidate. They paused over each subdued province till the assimilation of civil and military institutions it was fully blended into the general nationality of their empire. They thus gradually molded in Asia Minor and homogeneous and a stable power instead of precipitously heaping together a motley mass of ill-arranged provinces and discordant populations. To this policy, the long endurance of the Ottoman Empire, compared with other Oriental empires of both ancient and modern times, is greatly to be ascribed, and the extent to which this policy was followed in Asia Minor, compared with their subsequent practice in European Turkey, in Syria, and in Egypt, may have conduced in giving to the Ottomans a firmer hold in the first named country than they possess on their territories westward of the Hellespont and southward to the Mount Taurus. Every traveler notes the difference. The Ottomans themselves acknowledge it in it and Anatolia, a name generally so not accurately used as coextensive with that of Asia Minor, is regarded by the modern Turks as their stronghold in the event of further national disasters. They call it emphatically the last home of the faithful. The facts which have been already mentioned of the general diffusion of Turkish population over Asia Minor before Ottoman time must unquestionably have greatly promoted the solidity as well as the extent of the dominion which he and his successor there established, but the far-sighted policy with which they tempered their ambition was also an efficient cause of permanent strength, and their remote descendants still experience its advantageous operation.